now, like you said earlier that you feel like your body has betrayed you.
Yeah.
So are you mad at yourself? Is there this anger somewhere? You might not even be sharing with your husband, but do you think about the whole thing and be like, man, what exactly is me? Do you understand? Do you have those moments?
Absolutely. I absolutely have those moments. And funny enough, hearing you speak almost made me emotional, but I said I'm not going to cry on this. So let's talk it out. I do have those moments, and I have those moments because it almost feels like I've let this put my life at a stop. And I said this has put my life on a stop because I keep thinking to myself, right? I mean, when I finished school, I got a job outside of Lagos. I stay in Lagos now. And I could have gone for that job, but I didn't go because I said, I would like for us to be close to my husband so we can have this baby thing.
Yeah.
Year 1, year 2, year 3, 4, 5. Almost feels like I've put my life at a standstill for this to happen. Until we got the diagnosis. And most times I'm like, there's so much I could have done. There's so much I could have been
in that waiting period.
Exactly.
Right?
There's so much. But the funny thing is, even now that I have the diagnosis, the willingness to do that is not instant in the way. Yeah, it's not instant in the way that you would think it should be instant. I mean, my husband has been pushing me to say, go for your masters, try and forge ahead since this is a situation. Like, let's do things outside of this situation. So it's like, I keep telling myself, what if it's when I decide to go for masters that I'll not get pregnant? Will I be jeopardizing the baby?
And because you have to be very careful.
Exactly. Will I be jeopardizing the baby? Or is it the fact that I'm going to be far away from my husband? How does that increase our chances? So I keep having all of those thoughts at the back of my mind. So yeah, there are times where I legit feel like this situation has held me back. And it makes me vex with myself because I know the amount of potential that I have. And yes, just like you, other people see the potential too. But am I doing it with the potential?
No. Okay. So does this mean that despite the diagnosis, despite the fact that you do not have the funds to make this as money is just to hasten the process, basically. It's not to say that I have money now, it's going to happen. To hasten the process. Is this you now saying you're like taking the bull by the horn and taking charge of your life? Is this you now putting it on the side and moving on with you as an individual, as a person?
If I say that to you, I'll be lying. I haven't moved it aside. In fact, I feel like the diagnosis has made me a lot more aggressive towards it. And this is weird because this is the first time I'm admitting it to myself. It hasn't made me put it aside. It has made me more aggressive. It has made me feel like I need to do this. And like the program I spoke about earlier, my husband didn't want me to pay for it because he was like, why? Just free this thing. But I was like, no, let me pay for it. The supplements, I moved money from my savings
to get them.
Do you understand? Like, yeah, I don't know why, but it has just made me a bit more aggressive about the situation. Maybe because the diagnosis is still fresh. I mean, I literally got it like 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah. So maybe that's why I'm like this. I don't know. Am I going to be able to put it aside at one point and say, I'm living my life, I'm YOLOing? It might happen. I don't know. But right now, it's made me a lot more aggressive. But at the same time, it's not like I kept myself on a stop still. Like, I still do the things that I like. I still
just
do
that you're not exactly where you probably would have been if you didn't.
Absolutely, exactly. If I didn't like try to stop myself actively for this, and even if I had kids, that probably would have helped me to accelerate a lot more faster. In my head, I think maybe the kids have slowed me down. I don't know, but I would assume that. I mean, I would have said, okay, kids, check. Moving on to the next thing or something like that. So yeah, that honestly has made me more aggressive. I'm not even going to lie. Maybe not. Maybe aggressive is not the word. More intentional, I think, would be the word. Intentional, because now I'm reading up on things. I'm reading up on food. I'm getting thermometer. I'm checking my temperature. Before the diagnosis, I'm just like, I beg, I'm leaving it to chance.
When it comes.
But now, I'm not leaving it to chance anymore.
So this is a big question, and if you don't want to answer it, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. As much as I want you to be open, you've said it. You don't want to break down on here. And honestly, if you do, I cannot assure you that I would. so yeah, but I know that you've probably thought about the fact that you might not have kids of your own.
Yeah.
Might. Because it's a 50-50 chance. So how are you coming to terms with that reality?
It's going to be very hard for me. There are times where I think about it and I speak to my husband. I'm like, what if this never happens? What's the plan? and he's like, okay, maybe we could do adoption if it's that bad.
Okay. That would have been my next question.
I mean, yeah. He
said
said maybe we could do adoption if it's that bad, but I mean, it means we could literally just be two people enjoying our lives, you know. He puts in all of those jokes, but it's really going to be hard because I would really, really like kids of my own. And I think accepting that it might never happen is going to be a gradual process I'll have to come to terms with. At this very moment, I will not lie, I don't think I have come to terms. I told you I'm more intentional and aggressive. So I haven't come to terms with the fact that it might never happen. But yes, there is that thing at the back of my mind also telling me, what if this never happens? What would be your situation then? And I guess I would say only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Only time will tell.
Honestly.
Only time. And hopefully times will change to, is it good, Davido? A better time. Yeah. Did I just say Davido? A better time will come on actually. Yeah, hopefully. So on to the next question. This is more of a social media thing. You're like a social media person. I believe we got to like know about each other from social media before meeting.
Exactly.
At that audition for the first time. Yeah. So you know, there's this stigma with infertility women. First of all, the society believes that once there's no child in your marriage, it's the woman, right? And then there is the actual truth that is the woman, like in your case.
Yeah.
As someone who is TTC, I believe that's how they call it, trying to conceive.
Yeah.
How do you feel when you see all these societal, is it myths, I'm going to call them now? Does it do you one way?
See, those kind of things, like I know I said it earlier that when I see things like, oh, so the person had 5 abortions, they have 5 children, Kiriko had abortion, they had 3 children, I feel a bit triggered. Especially when I see situations, I mean, there's this joke, I know it's a joke, but for someone like me, it's very triggering when people say things like, hey, go forbid, I don't want to get belly now, and if you don't want to get pregnant now, like this, or you're going to get pregnant with the next person you sleep with. Wow. Those kind of things vex me, because I'm like, you don't understand how stressful the process of having a child is for some people. But for some of us, it's like, hey, the journey to, I don't know. But I've sort of come to realize, and as much as I get triggered and stuff, I like to not talk about every single thing I see on social media that I'm passionate about, because I realize that most times social media will just like to shout, and that's the end of it.
Initial reaction, and that's all.
Oh shit, that's the word. So I don't really react to those things, but I get triggered, and yeah, thank God for mute button, thank God for block button. I use all of that because I never
take that out of your space.
Honestly, I never want to really find all. In fact, even movies, Yoruba movies, I watch Yoruba movies a lot. When I start seeing the content, I just tune it off. I tune it off. They really provoke me, and I just tune it off. And I don't want to get into that dark space. Like I said, 70% of the time, I'm able to keep myself happy. So that 30%, if it has to be that I'm sad, it has to be something necessary. Not nonsense Twitter things or Instagram or whatever. And also because in Nigeria we're very conservative and we don't want to talk about these issues.
Share their stories.
Exactly. And this is why people don't want to share, because you share and then you get shamed for it. You know, some people get shamed for it literally. Like, I'm not going to be surprised if somebody watches this and say, no mind down, there definitely be something she has done that she's not talking about. Do you understand? I've had a family member ask me if I did abortion before.
Whoa.
Yeah, and I'm like,
that's way over the line.
Exactly. Like, no. You know, like, I literally had that question asked to me. Do you understand? So it was like, why would you ask me that kind of question? Okay, let's even assume that is the situation. It's not in your place to ask me that, you know. So yeah, I do get a bit triggered about issues like that, but I don't really respond except when it's absolutely freaking necessary. That's when I respond. And if I'm going to respond, I probably make a content on my podcast. Okay. So but I do get triggered, and I feel like a lot more people need to talk about it. A lot more people need to express how these things go and how people feel, you know, and how the various dimensions that it can exist. I told you that I searched online for HSG, a Nigerian woman's experience.
That you can even relate.
I didn't find any. And trust me, this is a procedure that people are doing at the hospital day in, day out.
Let us drift back to your husband now. Okay, this is another question that you might not want to answer if you don't feel up to it, or if it's not something you've thought about or processed.
No problem.
Yet. Okay. Is your husband Yoruba?
Yes, he is.
So I'm going to take this from this context so that I can understand very well. I've seen real life situations, cases, though not necessarily people like that I know personally, but I've seen real life situations where people have advised the husband to bring in another wife. Now that is for people who are nice. Bring in. Now there are other people who are like, you and your wife can be trying and doing everything, but since you are not, now in this situation where it is very clear that it's not just, okay, fine, it's God that's not giving you, but in this situation where it's not that everything is hanging solely on God, that is a problem, there are people who will be like, just outside, she will come to terms with it. Or they say one thing in Yoruba, something that has to do with a child's head. Yeah, they say it. So have you ever thought about it, that there is a chance that this is your perfect husband? I'm not in any way trying to
he's not even
husband.
Perfect.
Yeah, no, I mean like for you.
Yes,
basically.
yeah.
Is that, have you thought about it, that what if you know?
It's definitely a topic that we've broached, because me, see, I mean, we live in Nigeria, like you've explained it, and going through this, it's something that you will think about, and you will definitely, I mean, it's a topic that we've definitely broached, and Mr. M, I call him Mr. M a lot.
Yeah,
outside.
of course. We all know him as Mr. M anyway.
It's a topic that we've actually spoken about, right? And every time I talk about it, he's like, why are you talking about me getting another wife? I mean, we're Muslims, so it's acceptable.
Allowed, yeah.
And the funny thing is, and I know some people might say, maybe she's lying. The funny thing is, for me, I've always accepted the fact that if he decides to marry another wife tomorrow, as painful as it will be, I will accept that situation.
No.
Yes, I would accept it. One, because Almighty Allah.
Be that honest with myself.
One, because Almighty Allah has allowed him that opportunity. Two, because there is nothing that my Jakpamono, or for I don't know the English word for it, is going to do about it if he decides
if you have a grouse against him for it, or if you're mad about it,
it's not going to change anything, you know. So those two reasons have always been why I've always, even before we found out that we're going to have whatever issues or anything, I've always been okay with that. But I've spoken to him about it, and he's always of the opinion that, man, right now
I'm not thinking about
it. But I've always also said to him, if there's ever a time where you think about it, believe me, talk to me about it. Like, let's have a conversation about it. Let me know. I don't want to sit back in my house
and then
I say, oh yeah,
surprise
I don't want that. Okay. I want to be in the know, because I'm not going to ever stop. But even if he ever gets to that point, believe me, I'm going to be his biggest cheerleader, because that man loves children. You need to see my husband with children. He's literally like a big kid. He's amazing. I see him with kids and I have like this amazing smile on my face, because I know that if we ever have kids together,
it would be great with them.
He would be a better parent than I am. I'm so positive about that.
All right, so this brings me to our last question. You have been mentioning Allah a lot, God basically. So which brings me to a very fair conclusion, that you have a lot of faith, you're religious. I don't want to use spiritual, but you're religious. You are a Muslim, you are a practicing Muslim, and you look up to God a lot.
Yes.
So how has this whole experience, especially, I keep talking about especially your diagnosis, because yours is not just, we don't know what's wrong, you know what's wrong.
Exactly.
Now, seeing as you were a good girl, you
to a large extent,
you knew what you wanted, you went for it. It was just that one man that you placed your focus on and everything. How has this whole thing affected your faith? Because you said it the other time that sometimes you feel like, I don't deserve this. How has this affected your faith, your prayers, your belief in God?
It's been an up and down, like a roller coaster ride. There are days where I'm filled with a lot of faith, and I'm just like, Almighty Allah, I've accepted what you've done and everything. And there are times where I'm just like, nah, is there a particular sin that I did that Almighty Allah hasn't forgiven me for? Is there something specific that I need to pray for? Because, I mean, it's been it's been a very interesting ride, I must say. I mean, at the beginning of our marriage, right, I wasn't exactly very practicing. I mean, I used to pray and everything, but not like I really understood the deeper meaning of stuff. Yeah.
Okay.
But after we got married, he is well versed, so I think that kind of rubbed off on me, and I began to want to know much more. And even before then, right, I'm literally like the kind of person that I could think of something in my head. I'll be like, and I would like to have so thing. Just in my head, not saying it to anybody. And believe you me, it would happen in another 1 week or 2 weeks. So it's been a roller coaster ride, honestly, with the faith situation, right? With my faith in Almighty Allah. Like I stated, at the beginning, it's not like I was really into practicing Islam the way it's supposed to be. But over time, I have grown, I'm learning, and this whole process has also made me much more closer, you know.
Okay.
So there are days where, you know, I'm praying, I'm crying. There are days where I am sort of just happy. I always feel like Almighty Allah speaks to me in signs and different things, you know. So when it comes to this particular issue,
you're not hearing anything.
I'm like, I mean, like, I'm hearing the voice of, you have to be patient. Okay. It's gonna happen, you have to be patient. That's the voice I keep hearing. So when it comes to this particular thing, at first I didn't understand. I was like, what is it? Did I commit a sin? Is there something I did that Almighty Allah is not forgiving me for? And I thought of everything, and I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to specifically pray about this particular thing. Maybe this could be exactly what the problem is. And I prayed, and I had a conviction in my mind that, yeah, Almighty Allah forgiving me for that stuff, that particular stuff. I wouldn't like to talk about it.
Yeah.
That particular stuff. But then again, it still wasn't happening. I was like, what is the problem? Why is this not happening? And recently, when I keep hearing that voice, I've sort of come to terms to the fact that there is something that I need to learn. Okay. And I think that for Almighty Allah, it's either I haven't learnt it enough.
Wow.
Or I haven't even learnt it.
At all.
That's why, exactly, and that's why what's happening is not happening. I spoke about the medications earlier, right?
Yeah.
When I joined that group, I was like, the woman was giving all these plenty things we were supposed to do. I'm like, me, I don't have money for all of this thing. And one day she was like, oh, some people registered and some people are not active, and I was one of the inactive people. And I was like, see, madam, everything you're doing.
I'm not talking because I don't have money.
Exactly. I'm like, everything you're doing is fantastic, but I ain't no money, so sorry. I'm just saving up this information for whenever the money comes. And guess what? Somebody from the group messaged me, and she was like, oh, please, could you follow me on Instagram? I'm like, why? But I followed her, and I sent her a message and I said, oh, I followed you. She was like, okay, that please, can you give me your account number? I was like, huh? She said, yeah, just give me your account number. And I gave her my account number, and she sent me money, and she said, please use this for the supplements.
Wow.
And for me, that was a message from Almighty Allah telling me, yes, go through everything. I'm here with you all along. Like, I'm here with you, but there is something important that you need to learn. Because
still.
Exactly, because with every trial, I've sort of come to realize that with every trial, there's always something important for you to learn.
I admire your level of faith, because there are some of us who do not even have this life-challenging problem as big as this. I mean, everybody's problem is an important problem.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, when you have a problem and you hear other people's problem, you're like, oh.
My own is laying you.
My own is laying you. That's the essence of the whole series to begin
Absolutely,
with. The essence is that somebody somewhere realizes that I'm not the only one in this problem. I'm not the only one in this predicament, and you know, life does not stop. Life will not end. I'm not going to die because of it, and then things might actually get better.
Infertility is something that most people go through. You're definitely not alone. And if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. And if it's not going to happen, you're still going to be fantastic regardless. And also, very important, if you're going to be going for anything like a HSG test, please don't go alone, because it is very painful, and it would just be nice to have family or somebody support, there, yes, basically. At that point in time. So that's just what I want to say. And baby dust to you.
So you're 5 years in your marriage now.
Mm-hmm.
When will you get to that point? You know, I don't want to be pessimistic. I'm really hoping that when you jump on your treatment, it will work for you. But still, it's easy having this conversation with you, because
I know where you're
like,
going. And for me, I think that point will be 10 years.
So 10 years, that is when you consider adopting a child.
10 years will be the year I consider, maybe adopting a child. Maybe
5 years.
Finding someone to stay with us. I mean, my younger sister came around and she said she was going to be going back. And me and my husband were literally emotionally blackmailing her
because
to stay.
It felt good to have an extra
it felt someone to actually, it felt nice to take care of someone else that wasn't each other, you know. So I think 10 years would be the point where I think of either adopting a child, or maybe I have nieces and cousins. I could just decide, I have my favorites among them. I can just decide to pick one
to come stay with
exactly
you.
So I think 10 years for me, if it doesn't happen by 10 years will be when I think, I want to have that. And I could also get to that 10 years and feel like maybe my husband don't really want that, but 10 years for me will be when I probably will say, stop trying, stop disturbing yourself, let's just
Okay, thank you very much. You have absolutely no idea how elated I am that you're this open, because I knew that out of all the topics I listed to talk about, I had always thought that finding someone to talk about infertility, anything that has to do with child whatever, I had always thought it would be hard. But from the moment I asked you, you even said you already predicted that was what I was going to ask.
See, I kind of knew that you were going to ask me to talk about that. And honestly, I was sort of glad that I'm talking about it. I know a lot of, there's probably going to be a bit of flack or a bit of criticism coming from this, from maybe family members who might end up watching it, or maybe I will not just share it to our WhatsApp group. But the thing is, there might be a bit of that, because the society in Nigeria is let's cover it up. Not finding a YouTube video about a Nigerian woman's experience on HSG was like a slap on my face.
So in your head you're like, am I the only person? And then you find that it's not just you.
And I was like, I just felt like no. I don't think that these are issues that we should be covering. These are issues we should be speaking about, especially for young women like me. I'm 28. I'm gonna be 29 soon. That is knocking. Anyway, and you might think, oh, young women don't have these issues, but young women do. We do. And this is me. So just if that's you as well, just know that you're not alone. I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're listening to this from or watching from, but you're not alone. And together we can either have so many baby dust or become fantastic.
Yeah, hopefully the baby dust thing comes true.
Amen.
And very soon, for you and for every other person that I know that are going to watch this, that are also looking up to God, and several other women that I do not know that are waiting to have kids. So this is the end of this. Thank you.
You're welcome. This was really nice.
Yeah, I know, right? Really nice. Thank you.
All right, so I'm really hoping, as usual, that this video would, I don't know, give someone out there hope. That is what I've always thought about. I really hope it would give someone hope. It would make someone know that they are not in this journey alone. Like she said, there are different women out there who have different problems. Hers is just one out of the probably many types of infertility issues we have as women. And life is going to get better. Life is going to get easier. In due time, it will happen for you. The most important thing is that in the midst of all this chaos and all these treatments and all this uncertainty that you're in, you do not lose yourself, so that by the time your amazing baby comes to make your life better for you, you're in the right frame of mind and in the right physical space to, take your child. So I'll see you guys in the 3rd episode soon, hopefully. Thank you for watching. Please make sure you share. Bye.